Can I just get clarification on something? If you close the application period on Monday,
13th.
and you have a team to review the applications and determine who to move forward with for interviews.
The interviews can be by phone too.
It can be by phone. So your work session on Thursday will actually be
To dis-
Final,
to talk to 'em.
the interviews.
the final interviews.
And then you'll move into special meeting for executive session to discuss making an offer
See which one
potentially
the
to
council's
someone.
like.
Can I make one more suggestion?
Hang on, let's clarify what
Okay.
she's still working.
Is there
I can see that.
Is there a consideration for reviewing interview questions? Do you want to,
We haven't presented that.
I think if we appoint a committee tonight, that they can start working on that themselves.
okay, I can provide the last list of interview questions that we've used.
Right, that would, and then
Councilmember McClure.
the applicants are provided the questions ahead of time. All of them? I mean,
Well, it depends on,
how do, we have to decide that too.
we have to decide who we're going to interview.
Yeah.
But
Well, the
whether
three.
they all get the questions.
Right.
That's a very short, what, I think I hear.
Short time. I do
Yeah,
understand
I
that.
know. We decide on the the applications close on the 13th. We decide on the 14th, 15th, who we're going to bring in. And then they get the interview questions for the 16th.
I think that
That's
the
pretty
list will be short, like the last time too.
Well, I'm just concerned that they might not have time to prepare.
Legislative history showed that there were 8 applicants, and they interviewed all 8 of them
Well, that's nice.
in a work session prior to the meeting where they went into executive
And how long
session.
between close of the
Yeah, that's
applications
my
to
concern.
the work session?
I
A
didn't
week?
find that. That's the part I didn't find.
Okay. If you guys want to change this, now's the time to
Right.
change it and make it to the 20th, a week later.
So if we have a committee that, say we appoint a committee now, then the committee can start working on the interview questions.
Well, that's not on our list right now, to be honest with you.
So
we
does
can
that
take
mean
that
that
up
we
on
can?
the next council meeting. We
Which
can
would be
put-
August 13th, where we would,
We can always have another special one too.
well, I'm just, okay, so.
I know, Cheryl, you just like all these 2 meetings a month, right?
Mayor, what I was going to suggest, and I don't know if the rest of council agrees, but I actually was going to suggest to add a discussion item on our August 13th meeting to appoint the committee to go over, and at that time Brenda could give us a list of interview questions that we had before, and the committee could weed through those in the next 2 days, and I don't see why we couldn't be prepared. Because we'll have an idea at that meeting how many applicants there were
Yeah,
too.
I also think that some of the concern by the clerk and by Councilwoman McClure was that the applicants may not be able to make the interview.
Or be
But
adequately prepared to answer the questions that we have never, do you
That
give
is
them
a
the questions
consideration.
ahead? They did with the city manager applicants. They had the questions. I'm
I
pretty
think-
sure I saw that.
I think they'll be ready. Strong applicant would be ready.
Well, that'll be a test.
Yeah. It's still plenty of time if council wanted to have a work session, say on the 15th, the day before the interviews or something, to review anything, whatever. You have options to get together.
And we don't have to decide that now. That's what you're saying.
Okay, right now, our discussion is that we have a work session on the 16th of August and a special council meeting afterwards.
Yes. I agree to all of that.
And whatever time frame it takes, or do you want to set that at 7?
No, immediately following.
Immediately following, because we don't know how
Yeah.
many or how long.
Yeah. And I hope that we can have a discussion item on the August 13th agenda with a full council here where we can appoint a committee to look over the interview questions and be prepared for the work session.
There's no point ahead. You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Okay, so let's have a nod of heads here. 16th? Two,
Sure.
2, 1 against. Okay,
Who's against?
me, I want the 20th.
What, changing your mind?
You know, I'm just here to make your life miserable.
You're the one that came.
You guys have got me out of my...
Women were supposed to be confusing.
No.
Out of your jammies.
I
Yeah, you
suggested
got me
the
out of my
20th.
jammies, man, I tell you. You're gonna pay now. I'm having a hard time right now already. All right, number 4, direct the city manager to coordinate with the Division of Community and Regional Affairs to schedule an administrative personnel and city council by local government specialists. Previously effective on May 29th. And I know that the city manager said that because of items that were occurring, that he canceled that part. Discussion. Councilmember McClure?
I'll hold off.
Okay, Councilmember Towsley.
I asked about this at the meeting on Monday because I still feel that it's important. I was surprised to hear that it was canceled, and I feel it's important that we continue and move forward with this local government specialist to come, and it's free, and it will... We've been asked by a number of... we gave the direction already on the 29th of May. We've been asked by a number of citizens to begin the review process of our procedure and what we've got going on, so I think it's important.
Okay.
Mayor.
Councilmember McClure.
I agree that we should do this. I'm concerned now because administration is going to be totally changed. So, as far as a timeline, I want this done. We don't know when they can come anyway, and I didn't want it removed. So, can we wait till after we get an interim maybe and see how things are going, or do you want to have it before? We're just discussing this. So,
Mayor.
Councilmember Casagrande.
I'd like for you to coordinate with the department and ask them to come. I think the valuable thing about this agency coming in is they're not looking, my understanding, it's not a personality thing. They're looking at our codes. They're looking at how we're structured. We have formed our own constitution. They might have some really great suggestions for us. And so if you could coordinate on behalf of council for them to come as soon as possible, that would be awesome.
Well, since it has on this review of the administration, personnel, and city council, I think that is in the purview of the city manager. So I would like to have this still come from the city manager with our direction.
Okay.
Because it has 2 areas of their part. Councilmember McClure.
well, we still have a city manager,
Yes,
so let's
Well,
direct
use
him to do that.
if that's what you want. Okay?
Put it
so
back on the,
Nod of heads,
yes.
nod of heads saying as soon as they can be arranged with the department.
Yes.
See if they can get back the spot they gave up even.
Well, maybe.
Like
Maybe.
next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Okay. We're almost done.
All right. Now we're into council comments. Councilmember Cease.
No comment.
Councilmember Casagrande.
No comment.
Councilmember McClure.
I just want to thank all of you out there sitting there for being here through this and putting up with this. It's part of the process, and I really appreciate the people that are here.
Councilmember Towsley.
Thank you for coming. Help us make public service sausage and see the whole process through. I know it's awkward to have to leave and come back into the room and being patient while we move forward with what's best for the city. So.
Okay, thank you. We have short ones. I'd like to thank Mr. Hunt for his service to the city and saying that he has done a good job for us. And there are a lot of projects that are ongoing right now that we have to be concerned with. Remember on Monday that we have a going away party for Mr. Long? Yes. Okay. And I hope that we could start looking at that part too. I know it's been suggested to go ahead and forego that position. I'm still up in the air of what direction we would give to our city manager at this time, or interim city manager later on. I'd also like to thank everybody for sticking it out and stuff, and being here, and for the advice that we got from our attorney tonight too. I was very appreciative of that. What was the other thing I had written down here? Mr. Jaffa, thank you for volunteering for the position and being sworn in tonight. Really do appreciate you coming forward. Really do. For the other people that spoke, this is a difficult time, and yet it's a new time. So everybody be open. Everybody look at what's going on, and now we can move forward. Citizens' comments, please. Anybody want to talk to the council?
I do. Again, Mayor, council members, general audience, it's been a very interesting meeting. I don't make as many of them as I should. Certainly this is a topic, or the topic that you had before you tonight is one of the most important things that you actually do. We have a form of government, as I understand it, with a strong city manager, where we delegate, or the council and the citizens delegate a lot of responsibility to our city manager. And working with that city manager, directing him, and the PACAD board that I serve that advises you, helps make informed decisions that our manager then will implement. One of the things that I'm going to take away here, and you know, I live out of town, so I probably am not up to speed on everything like I should be, but I hear a lot of things, and they're somewhat confusing, and I don't think I'm alone in that confusion. One of the things that I'm taking away tonight is, even though it's very important in government to make sure all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and that you do things by procedure and follow the rules, it's essential to keep your eye on the big picture. And it looks to me like there's the opportunity to be caught up in the minutia, the small stuff. I'll just point on the word terminate. I've terminated people in my life. I've been terminated. I've watched the movie Terminator. They all mean slightly different things. But to get caught up in that and not get the idea, or not stay with the idea that you're changing something. You can be concerned with the aspect of the person losing their job or filling it with a new one, but as you move forward with a new manager and form a new relation with a new manager, I encourage you to keep your eye on the big picture that's good for the community of Seward, and let them do their job, and not get micromanage every little thing that they do. You know, steer them. And hopefully a cooperative manager will allow that kind of relationship to flourish. And I know we all have the same goals. The community, the council, you guys are representatives, you're elected representatives. I know that you have the pulse of the community. But it's easy as people to get to go astray. So thank you very much for your efforts, and it's been a very interesting meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff. Appreciate it. Anyone else like to speak before council? Sure.
Cheryl Cease, 319 Blaine. First of all, I would like it said on the record that Mr. Hunt was not treated fairly, and he was not treated with respect or dignity. He was embarrassed, and his character was assassinated here in front of the public, and that's really wrong under any circumstances. So I agree with what that man said about the next city manager, and not micromanaging and not having these battles. It serves no one. In fact, it harms everyone. And then the conversations that you guys had about the amending the termination, termination effective immediately. The attorney answered all your questions. He gave you examples of how to make it succinct. We went through the whole process. I think we spent about 45 minutes, and then you just voted it down anyway. What is the point of that? I'm sorry that I'm just really riled up and upset, but I expect more, and I want to see more. I appreciate your service and your hours, and I know that they've been many because you've had extra meetings and you've had late nights. And I know that your hearts are all in the right place and you're here to serve. If there is something that I can or our community can do to support you, let me know or let us know. You know, if we're not doing right, our community is a good community. We have a wonderful town. I want to see it protected. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to speak before council? Carol?
Carol Griswold, City Limits. So I'm glad the city attorney was not part of the city manager's decision to appoint himself to assistant city manager. I appreciate that correction. I'm relieved that the city manager withdrew his appointment to the assistant city manager, but he apparently is still allowed to select an assistant city manager unless the council directs him not to or decides not to fill that position. So I think it would be, if we're going to have an assistant city manager, I think it would be more appropriate to let the full-time new city manager choose his assistant. I'm disappointed that the interim city manager job requirements are still very low, and I encourage the council to ask for more qualifications for this very important job. The confusion over the 10-day written notice, I think was due because it was buried in a resolution. That amendment was buried, and it points out the need, as per my email, to include the amended employment agreement with every amendment resolution, strike out the old, put it in bold, have the city manager sign and date it, so that you always have that that current contract before you. I was just going through that document that the city clerk sent out. It's like, well, where was this and where was that? And it's really very confusing. So I hope you can bring that forward, that it'll be very clear and transparent what the current amended contract looks like. I'm wondering why no administration was present at the DS. Don't we usually have some representative administration here? So that was kind of unsettling to me that they were here, but they weren't at the DS. So I'm wondering if they're still working, and I hope that they will still work until their effective day of termination. And I appreciate the spirit of cooperation that was exhibited here, especially after the council reconvened after the executive session. It was the way I would like our council to always work, very cooperatively, a lot of give and take, a lot of helping each other. It was wonderful. So I appreciate that this was an extremely difficult meeting, and I think you all deserve a pat on the back, and I thank you for your hard work and for being here.
Thank you, Carol. Mike?
Oh, no. My name now, that's why. I'd like to thank all of you. I came in at the end, and what you all have gone through is just amazing. I mean, I don't have it in me, and I don't have the patience or the tolerance. And whether I agree with you or not, I do appreciate your sacrifice and your commitment and everything that you do. And a little bit of research here, in the City Code 2-14, delivery of office to the successor in part shall deliver forthwith to his successor or the mayor within 24 hours, et cetera, et cetera. I just kind of wanted to bring that out. And then for you guys, maybe an outside audit of city financial records, past and current, to bring that transparency to all of you. I mean, I think that, the Vice Mayor and Jeremy Horn, you're all a special group of people, and I'd like to see you guys have a little bit easier go than you've had the last year, so thank each and every one of you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak? Linda?
The cat outside the city. So I mentioned this gal, Margaret Wheatley, earlier. She's a consultant in the area of organizational behavior and community change, and she's been in that field since the 80s. And one of the things that she's come to the realization of is that you can't change a system once a system has emerged. And that's part of the problem that we're finding ourselves in, not just here in the city, but at every circle outward that you go from here. There are systems that have emerged. And what we've been trying to do for the last, since the 80s, maybe since the 60s, is change this system that's emerged. And what this expert is saying is that you can't actually do that. You can create a new system that replaces the system that has emerged, but you can't, by trying to change the existing system as it is, you just end up with resistance. And so one of the things that she does is she suggests that there should be 3 focuses for leaders. And you guys are leaders. You're the community leaders. And the first thing that she says is, and this ties back to what I said earlier about creating islands of sanity. The way to do that, she suggests there's 3 focuses that you need to put your energy into. One, she says, is to pay exquisite attention to your relationships, how you're interacting with everyone else. Because it's really in our relationships that define our experience of daily life. And so by placing that, making the relationships and our interactions with each other at the highest place, now you've got a bar to reach, and it's something that will bring the best out in everyone. The next thing she says is that we need, and she's really quite candid about this on the YouTube that I watched. She says she can't believe she has to say this, but we need to restore thinking in the workplace, and therefore teamwork. We're not, across the board, thinking and cooperation has fallen by the wayside, and we've got into this system where everybody is just trying to do their thing. And so by coming back into really thinking about what's happening and then working together to solve the problems, what we've got now is we have problems that are coming out of reactions to things. And there's a national one that's very obvious and very recent. There are tariffs that are affecting farmers, and so now they've voted to create a welfare program to deal with the farmers. So the problem is the tariffs, and instead of going back to fixing what created the problem, they're creating a Band-Aid on what's created the problem. So she's suggesting more thinking, more consideration, and more teamwork. And then the third thing is, especially for leaders, is to have a personal practice, an individual practice that each of us as citizens have to help bring us peace in our daily lives so that this stuff doesn't overwhelm us. Because there's been a lot of chaos and a lot of upset and a lot of, people stopping and people in the Safeway and at the parking lot, and it's taking its toll on all of us. And so as leaders and then even as individuals, if we set out to have some kind of personal practice, whether it's go walk at the beach for 5 minutes or meditate for 10 minutes. There's a great app called Calm, 10 minutes a day. It's amazing. And that will bring us to building islands of sanity in the world. And so I heard something in the hallway that I just want to share with you guys, is that perhaps there's like procedures and things relating to like how these meetings get done and how the agendas get done that aren't being observed. And so maybe there's a deadline that's supposed to be a Wednesday and it's being pushed to Fridays, and that's creating problems with staff. So again, this is one of these things of coming together, working together, and sharing what will solve problems. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Hi, Becky Dunn, inside the city limits, Diamond Avenue. I wanted to speak up about another important person that is leaving, Doreen. Yes. And is there any way that in the hiring process we can find a way to advertise or encourage another female officer? I mean, not only has she been important in the community, but this is our only female officer, and we are losing her soon. So is there, Soon.
Real soon.
Can we start a petition to stop that? No, she says no. Okay, I'll give her that. But is there any way that we can advertise or encourage a female cop? I'm not sure, but I think that's important for the community, and that's a pretty big loss. And another thing is, I heard from online that people from outside the city are not welcome to speak in front of council and don't have a say. And I would like to say that for 30 years I lived outside the city, and I spoke up at council meetings. In fact, quite often I was the only one in the audience, or two people in the audience, and the other one was whoever was working for whatever newspaper we have at the time. And never was treated unfairly or like I was an outsider by administration or anybody on the council. So people from outside the city, you do have a say. You don't get to vote, but you do have a say and you are listened to. You can speak up at council, and I do encourage that, or you can call the council members or administration. That complaining on Facebook is probably the least productive way to do it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
May I add? Oops, sorry.
Come back after everyone has had their chance.
Hello, Jason Everson, outside city limits. I would just like to see the council bring up the issue of opting back into para, and it might solve a lot of the squabbling and employee issues around this town. So it's a good thing, and I want you guys to really take a look at it. If Will was here, I'd have him explain it to you, but it's needed badly. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Sure, you want to do it again?
Sorry that I didn't control myself well.
Thank you for your example.
I just wanted to add that with regard to qualifications for the next city manager, it's important to realize, I don't know if people are aware of this, that part of what goes with the job is creating really good relationships on the state level and the federal level. And Mr. Hunt did do a good job in securing millions of dollars for sewer. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else would like to speak? Okay, seeing no one, council and administration response to citizen comments. Councilmember Casagrande.
So we were asked how we can be supported as council members. I think the best way for me as a council member to be supported is for people to reach out to me and call me with their concerns. Concerns with solutions are always my favorite concerns, because then it's not leaving me kind of dangling on a rope and being like, okay, well, then it kind of feels more like a complaint. But a concern with a solution is a really great way to support me. And my phone number is 907-362-2299. And I always answer my phone. I'm not so good at checking emails, I confess, but I do answer my phone. And also, I don't know if this is the time and place that I can do this, but to address a citizen's concern of holding off on hiring the assistant city manager, I would like to see that held off, and I don't know procedurally how that works. So is it possible
We can discuss it next council meeting.
as a discussion item? Okay, so...
Hires first.
yeah, so my concern is, what if it's filled prior to the next council meeting? I mean,
I don't see there's a way, but, okay. Yeah, I don't see there's a way.
Okay.
Right.
We can,
Direct him not to.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm voicing my opinion as an individual, not for the body, that I would like to see that position not filled until we have a clearer idea of who's coming in. Personally, I would not like to see it filled even with an interim city manager, because I feel like that's a position that should be held open for the incoming city manager and our fresh start to be able to appoint and hire. So I'm voicing that right now as an individual. I'm also really thankful, Carol, for all of your great suggestions. You've got to be the best person that comes to me with solutions. I mean, you are so full of solutions, and I really appreciate your suggestion in the updated contract amendments to have those entered with, you know, we do it on everything else where we show the underlined and the striked and all of that. So once again, as an individual, I'd like to hopefully see that. And also, do we know why there is no administration present? Can you tell us?
I will when you're done.
Okay, thank you. I understand that, you know, a lot of times trying to make amendments to systems does create more chaos, and I understand that after a year of experience. So I really admire the fact that a system can't be changed and that systems need to be new, but that seems so far out there for me to think of creating a whole new system. Just sounds like a remedy for insanity. But the one thing that we can change is our story. And we don't have to keep on groveling in this story of separation and negativity and we can't work together and we don't work together and nobody likes anybody. Because I think we have displayed and we are displaying a really beautiful story of a community that really, really loves each other and really, really wants the best for one another. So I hope that we can all collectively really start focusing on changing our story and stop pointing our fingers. And the next time someone wants to point a finger outward, just take your finger and point it back at yourself and take a really, really good look at yourself. And usually 90% of the time, the anger and the confusion will usually be dissolved. I would also like to get maybe a memo or something from Will. Doreen, I had no idea, and I'm sorry if I was oblivious that you were leaving, but you have been...
Not until April.
Okay,
April
well,
30th.
It's so valuable to have a female officer in our community, but I don't know anything about hiring discrimination or anything about that, but I mean, I personally would love to see that because I think it is really important, and you're obviously not replaceable. But yeah, and that's it. Thank you.
Councilwoman McClure, do you have something?
Can I move to adjourn?
No, I still got something.
You still have to say?
I get my last words. So I got last words. Carol, exactly right. That's why I said earlier that I wanted to see changes in the city manager's job performance and the agreement. And I like to have the idea of the changes being done, contract redone, so that we don't have to go back through mounds and mounds and mounds of paperwork, because it's usually it is. And it's beneficial to the employee as well as to the council and the public. To Ms. Dunn, you bringing up about Doreen leaving, you gave me a heart attack. I was having palpitations up here right away. I didn't know it was until April, but thank you for letting me know about that. So now I'm back on regular rhythm. So, but yes, I do agree with you. Having diversity in the police force and other jobs that we have in the city is very beneficial to all of us. And to answer the question about where administration is, Mr. Hunt sent us an email yesterday to all council members that he would be in Anchorage with taking care of city business at the request of our lobbyist.
I didn't get it.
I didn't either.
Normally when he's not here, though, there's somebody else.
Yeah, well, I can't speak to the other ones, okay? I can't speak to the other ones. I can give you what I've gotten from, and I thought you guys all got that too, so. But city manager was in Anchorage with the lobbyist today, so I don't know what time frame that they were going to be at.
I was not aware of that, for the record.
Okay, accept another motion.
Move to adjourn.
A second.
We are adjourned. Did you have something?
It's fine.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine, I'll put it on Facebook.
So myself, your real,
Oh my God.